Welcome. In this lesson, we're going to go through the process of installing Python with tkinter on Windows. And that's because there's a little bit of a more involved setup with this in most environments. On Windows, it's actually not that bad. We just need to use the official installer. But we do want to go through and cover how you're going to do this on each of the major operating systems. So if Windows is not what you use, then go ahead and skip this video. There will be one for macOS and also Linux. Other things we want to talk about here are just the tools we need. We're going to need to have a machine that we can install Python with the necessary GUI libraries on it. So that should be easy enough. And then a text editor. Throughout this course, I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code, and that's a free and open source text editor that's extremely popular and really good for working with Python files. So if you don't have a preferred editor of your own, then you can go ahead and use that one. But let's go ahead and get to installing Python with GUI support on Windows. To get started with working with GUI development on Windows with Python, we need to make sure that we have Python installed in such a way that it has all of the tools that we need. The TK libraries are not going to be something that gets built by default. So tkinter is not going to be there every single time you install Python unless you have all of the prerequisites. But if we go down the route of actually going to python.org, downloading the Windows installer, this will come with it pre-baked. So most of the time I would encourage anybody working with Python to not work with the pre-installed one, but I would also encourage you to not do it on Windows most of the time. I think the optimal environment for actually going and running Python is going to be on some sort of Unix environment, and it's just easier. That's what you're most likely going to ship Python apps on, so you might as well go ahead and use that. But if you're working on GUI stuff, then that's totally fine to install it locally. Make sure that everything is there because you're going to need Python to be there in order to run the applications anyway. So we're going to go ahead and install this, and it's going to install idle, pip, all the documentation, etc. And the fact that it can install idle is going to tell us that it's going to come with everything that we need. So we're going to go ahead and just select this, add Python 3.8 to our path, and go ahead and run this installer. Depending on the speed of your machine, this installation could take a little while or it might not. But as you can see right here, it's building TCL/TK support, which is exactly what we need in order for us to continue to use Python throughout this course. All right, we've successfully installed Python for Windows. Let's go ahead and close this. I'm going to open up my Windows terminal here. We're going to open up a new tab so it loads this fresh, but we should see that we have python.exe here. And if we use the -m to load a module and we load tkinter, this will go ahead and give us a demo GUI app using TK here. So we can see that we've successfully installed a version of Python that has access to everything that we need in order to start working on some GUI applications.